guess I'll break the ice. My name is Whitney Reader, and I'm the general and artistic director of the Wichita Grand Opera. Super, super happy to have these artists from across the country. We've got Eric Botto as Tony, our lead, and Anita is played by Brennan Martinez from Chicago. Eric, you're from the Big Apple, right?
Living in the Big Apple, but originally from Houston, Texas.
And Kenny is?
California. I'm from California originally, living in South Carolina, and I'm singing riff.
Yeah, so we got 3 of our 4 main leads, and we've been having a lot of fun. 10 days now in? Something like that?
Yeah, just about.
I think so.
Yeah.
Kind of a neat deal. Eric and Kenny just did the show together in Indianapolis, 3-4 months ago? 5?
Yeah.
May.
It's April, May, yeah.
Yeah, April, May.
Yep.
In no less than a zoo, I think it was.
It wasn't a zoo. We heard the monkeys and the lions all the time. So.
Yeah, it was like an outdoor pavilion, and it was actually a really cool place to do it because there was a moment. It was right when I got shot. Spoiler alert.
Spoilers?
At the end of the show.
Oops.
And was it a tiger in the distance?
Yeah, it was either tiger or lion.
Yeah.
They started crying.
Yeah, started crying right at that soundbite.
Tigers don't at night.
We're doing West Side Story, not Ladies of Rock.
Sorry. And Brennan, you sang this recently. Was it Chicago?
No, last time I actually did this was not as recent as 4 or 5 months ago. Last time I did West Side Story was 7 years ago at the Glimmerglass Festival. And I played Consuela last time.
Okay. So it's still in your bones.
Apparently. I just figured that out in dance rehearsal.
Yeah, we've been working hard with some wonderful choreographers from Eureka Springs, the Ulibarris, Emily and Raymond, who've got a dance theater down there. And one of the interesting things about West Side Story is it's quite the fusion of musical, operatic style writing and singing. Dance is a huge integral part, choreographed originally by, Jerome Robbins?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we've been putting together lots of elements. What's it been like for you guys doing this Wichita production that might be a little different than Glimmerglass or Indianapolis, et cetera? It's what we call semi-stage for one thing, so the orchestra and everyone's going to be on stage for everyone to see, sort of like we did Candide last year. But I'd love to know how this one might be a little bit unique.
Well, I mean, I found, similar to Brennan, that I keep defaulting back into my old choreography at times. There's been there was one rehearsal where I literally just had to stop and go, oh, wait. Everybody else is dancing around me, and I'm in the wrong show right now. Yeah, it's different. Because the playing space is smaller because the orchestra's on stage with us. It's definitely changed the way we have a lot more featured solo stuff as compared to the entire group dancing all at once, just because space limitations, which it definitely changes it. It makes it a whole different dynamic. Yeah, it's been very, very enjoyable, very fun.
And I must say some of you are better dancers than others.
That would be Brennan.
No.
Don't put me on the spot like that. I would say the main difference for me with this production versus the last time I did it is the last production I did was actually a more modern setting of West Side Story, and we are doing the original 1959, 50s, 60s setting. And even though this story was set in the 1950s, 1960s, it's still relevant today. You can take the lyrics and the words from the script, and it does still sound colloquial to today.
That's one of the things that I have found, too, that's fascinating about the piece. It was certainly modern at the time when it was composed in the 50s, and it's, of course, a retelling of the old Romeo and Juliet from Shakespeare, but in Manhattan. I think it was originally called the East Side Story and had to do with a Jewish guy and a Catholic girl kind of going back and forth between Easter and Passover, but it moved over to the West Side and became more of a race-based thing with Puerto Ricans and the white guys, the Sharks and the Jets, and the love story that happens. So the modern Capulets and Montagues. But interestingly enough, what was modern in the 50s is just as modern today, at least to my ears, and current. The text is, at least for back then, a little bit edgy sometimes, a little bit racy, but the music is timeless, and it bridges a great gap, I think, between what would be a period piece and something that's quite literally universal and timeless. How has this been for you, jumping back into the West Side Story, Eric?
Yeah, it's just kind of piggybacking off of what Kenny said over here. There are times when I'm emotionally playing, retelling the story of Tony. I'm kind of reverting back to what is, I guess, natural for me based off of the previous production. And JJ is, through his own creative genius, is telling the same story, but just in a slightly different limelight. And it's a fun challenge to try to go against what is more or less in my bones, and just find a new way to remotivate with still the same level of intent and energy that I would have put in the previous production. So it's fun. You know, there are times where I catch myself. I'm like, oh, that's not what we're doing this time. Let me backpedal and try that again. And but no, I find this story incredibly relevant, especially in today's climate.
Yeah.
I think everybody, regardless of what side of the political spectrum you're on, I think there's something to be gleaned from this show, and it's just an incredible opportunity and a privilege to help tell that story.
I love that, and I think that was one of Bernstein's missions in life as a composer and conductor, and above all, educator, was to bridge gaps between people that lack understanding or empathy or compassion, and certainly just like Tony and Maria find a way to bridge the gap between their clans. I think that was maybe part of his intent, and he certainly has love as the underlying theme amidst all the tension. One of the things in the West Side Story, or the parts that I love, is the finale of Act 1, where we've got the love duet going and all the gangs fighting underneath and everyone's doing their own things. It's just an absolute potpourri of styles that one might think would be conflicting, but Bernstein finds a way to get it all together. And there's a lot of genius in this. There's a 12-part fugue. Is it cool in 12-tone harmony? And he emphasizes a lot of unique and kind of, for our ears, odd intervals, the tritone or the augmented fourth, which is Maria. Sing that, which is at the beginning. Maria, I'll never, so on.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one thing I love about bringing these artists here to Wichita, who have sung quite literally all over the country and in some cases all over the world. They've done these productions before. They're doing it again, so there are always added layers and an added depth. And I think that's wonderful, whether it's a new role in the same piece or the same role in the same piece. And I find there's definitely an enrichment in that.
Well, I was going to say, too, I mean, I think even within that, even as much as we did it before recently, our dynamic in on our scene that we have together, it's very different. It's almost like a reversal of how we did it before.
Yeah, for sure.
Like the first time we did it, Tony was a little bit more comedic and silly in our scene, and I was very serious, very to the point. And we've kind of switched that around, and if anything now, you're on the more serious side, and I'm joking around and laughing around. Yeah. And it's a completely different dynamic, that just one that we didn't explore the first time we did it.
Yeah, Riff in the previous production was so, hell-bent on trying to get Tony to the dance. And I was just poking holes in all of that and just being like, yeah, that's fine. No, whatever. Sure. Yeah, whatever. And this time, it's Tony, and it's a totally valid choice. Tony is now just annoyed, absolutely annoyed with Riff. For how long he's been talking his ear off, when Tony just has no care about what Riff is currently, trying to get Tony to do. And
namely picking a fight all the time.
Yeah.
Well, and it's almost like, I mean, he's grown up. Yeah. He's got a job. He's living in the real world a little bit.
He's been
responsible.
One whole month outside of being part of the gang. So,
One whole month.
But
straight in the narrow.
I mean, like to a kid, like that's an eternity.
Right. Yeah. That's a whole lifetime.
And these are kids, right? What is the age supposed to be? Late teens?
High school,
15, 16?
For all of us.
Yeah, it's primarily high school. I think maybe you could argue that Tony's on the older side, but all teenagers.
And that's another bridge we have to cross. We have mature, fully grown, developed artists who are in their 30s, I'm guessing. Not going to ask on air, but having to portray kids, and it's great. One of the other things that's been great, I mean, usually I'm involved with being part of the musical team, and this time I get to sit back and observe and help out and bring coffee and whatever else I could do to ease the process. But I've loved seeing how you guys all gel. Of course, you guys did the show together, but I've seen you and Shannon just click like you've known each other all your lives. And had you worked with her before? Shannon's our Maria, of course, from. Is it North Carolina or Virginia? I can't remember.
She lives in Virginia. No, Shannon and I have never met, so we just started bonding in this production process. The only person that I've worked with previously is Eric, and in a very, very different show than what we are doing right now. So it is really fun to work with brand new people, but also come back and work with colleagues that you've worked with before in a completely different show, in a completely different context.
Is it normal that the chemistry just clicks like this? I mean, it's been a pleasure to be in the room and see you all having fun, and of course you're all staying together in some of the homestays we have here. Is that normal to have such a cohesive cast?
I think which you've done here, I think when you hire quality professionals and people that are willing to go the extra mile just to sell the scene, even if you don't have that, I guess, airtime of experience or just, connectivity, I think you are given a playground for us to come in and just try things. And, experienced actors and performers will see, a higher degree of energy and respond by taking that energy and enhancing it and bringing it back. And so even if you don't have the time to, say, hey, we've worked together for years, you just kind of can recognize that spark and dish it back and forth.
A wonderful artistic game of ping pong or tennis, what have you.
Yeah.
Eric, you mentioned JJ before. JJ's our intrepid stage director from Cleveland. He's the head of opera at Cleveland Institute of Music. And on the note of time, usually we have far more time, 4 to 6 weeks, to put a production together. This has been wham bam, partly because of semi-stage, partly because of schedules. I know it was hard for you guys with your professional careers to take time out for Wichita, and we're super happy and grateful that you have. But that also adds a certain amount of spontaneity, I would think, and the creativity seems to be enhanced by the fact that we don't have a whole long rehearsal process. Yeah. J.J. Hudson, have you all worked with him before? I know that he at least knew of you.
It is my first time.
This is my first time, but it shouldn't have been my first time actually working with JJ. We were set to be working together in a show where I was a graduate student at the A.J. Fletcher Opera Institute, and he was going to stage direct a show that was supposed to have happened in April 2020.
Oh, babe.
So unfortunately, we never worked together, but we reached out to each other saying, maybe one day we'll finally get the chance to work together. 5 years later, it finally happened.
Better late than never, and hopefully the first of many. JJ's been a joy and a pleasure, super good at finding the strengths and talents of individuals and enhancing those. I was talking a little bit about the melange of styles. We've got a lot of jazz featured mostly, and I would say the Jets music, the American Gang, and a lot of Latin rhythms and harmonies, more for the Sharks, the Puerto Ricans, and everything in between as far as compositional technique. There's 12-tone music. There's a fugue. You were making fun of me with the Latin remark the other day, the Latin root of this and that. Anyone know where the word fugue comes from, what a fugue is? And go ahead, Brennan.
Oh, gosh. I know,
Back to Music History 101, A.H. Fletcher Institute.
I know, don't come for me. It's fine. Well, a fugue, isn't it? It's a repeated musical pattern, correct?
It is, yeah.
Not necessarily a motif. I won't go into that, but it is a repeated musical pattern that comes one after another, and we do have several examples of that in this show.
Yeah, it's like a canon on steroids, and fugue comes from the Latin fugare, to chase. So you get one theme chasing another all through the orchestra, and it's an interesting orchestra. It's scored for 7 violins. We beefed it up to 12 a little bit. No violas, and there are plenty of viola jokes to be mined there.
We love you, we promise.
Yeah, we do. And so did Bach, Mozart, and Dvorak, whose favorite instrument it was. A whole battery of percussion and these interesting reed players who are coming in part from Wichita, Kansas City, and environs. They play 5 or 6 different instruments a piece. A bass saxophone, which a guy is bringing from Kansas City. I don't know if we even have one in Wichita. All kinds of wonderful sound combinations. It's a Broadway pit orchestra, hence the smaller orchestration. But Brendan, one of the things that's fascinating about you, one of the many, is that you do have some crossover experience, having expertise in opera and music theater. What's it like doing a piece like this? It kind of calls on both. I've seen you do both in this production so far, and it's been super entertaining.
It is absolutely thrilling, really, getting to vocally use almost every single part of my voice. It is definitely very demanding. This show is one of the most emotional and physically demanding shows for especially my shark ladies, my shark women, because it is very much a marathon. Act 1 starts very, very bright. We're all going to the dance at the gym, and that is just a rollicking dance number for all of us, and we all get to have a really, really joyful time. But then by the time we get to the War Council and the Rumble, and we unfortunately have some characters that leave us for almost the rest of the show, Act 2 becomes very, very dark and very emotionally raw. And because these characters are in high school, they've never experienced Lost to this degree, it becomes much more challenging emotionally for the acting aspect. So we've had physically demanding Act 1, and then all of a sudden in Act 2, it becomes very emotionally raw. So you're getting a full arc and journey of these young characters that are experiencing this for the first time. And same with any production of Romeo and Juliet. They're experiencing these very intense emotions for the first time, which is very operatic in nature.
Yeah, and the style of singing that you do, I've seen you kind of go in and out, which has been absolutely fascinating. An opera company doing a musical or a music theater piece might be a little unconventional. It's getting to be more the norm. I think Chicago did it recently. Indianapolis Opera did it. Certainly I've wanted to find the best possible, which I think I have quite successfully, operatic voices. But that's not to say that it's without challenge. And, of course, we're here right next door to our wonderful colleagues, Music Theater of Wichita. I should definitely give a shout-out. So we tread on thin ice here, trying to do this at a high level, not wanting to be compared, but it's definitely new territory for an opera company. What's it like for opera singers who don't have necessarily the music theater background to jump into a piece like this?
I think one of the interesting things about this piece is, I mean, he wrote it with classically trained singers in mind. So it has that like underlying, I mean, I guess you can call it legit style of singing that I think has over the years, especially I think the making of the movie kind of helped to translate this into more what we would call like modern musical theater styling. So I think for me personally, it's kind of fun writing that line of in between, using a little bit more of the straight tone, that type of stuff.
You also have a wonderful combination going from straight tone into opera. And it's
yeah, I mean, and there's parts like the Tonight Quintet where it just lends itself to be sung thick and full in that more classical style. And there's other parts, like I said, in the Jet song, where there's a lot of like opportunities to really.
We're gonna rock it tonight.
Yeah, I mean, you get to kind of demonstrate like all of your skills in your toolbox, as you'd call it. So it has that kind of crossover. You can do it completely legitimately with opera singers and with just classic musical theater kids, which we actually have a pretty good balance of in our cast. I mean, a lot of the Jets guys, that's what they do is musical theater.
Yet I must say, I think they're inspired by what they're hearing because I hear them sounding more and more like opera singers.
Yeah.
Eric, you just came off Rodolfo. Was it in New York? Was it?
Yeah, I did a really powerful telling of La Boheme with Chautauqua Opera this summer.
So that's quite the change.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's like we have the training to create this, wall of sound that is hopefully, long lasting and to at least, sustain for a full performance production period. But, no matter what, at least in my perspective, I believe that using these more modern skills, that are, I guess, requirements that you need for musical theater to be authentic to the style, but not negating the training and the vocal health needed to last throughout the show. It's just a manipulation of airspeed and, other little like extended techniques. So, I might be putting on a more modern spin at certain times, like in Something's Coming, or, a couple flares in, his other solo, Maria. But then when the heat really gets hot, I have to kind of default and go back into a more classical, training or a classical style. And I think that one informs the other. And I think oftentimes we are taught to maybe be careful or avoid that, but I can tell you firsthand, and I'll give an embarrassing shout out to my wife,
Who's also a singer.
Who is also a singer and a fantastic crossover performer.
I did try to get her here to Wichita, but she couldn't get her schedule.
Unfortunately, she's too busy. Olivia is someone who kind of gave me during my classical training, on the side. She just kept encouraging me to try and to play with these more modern or contemporary styles. And surprisingly enough, in a period of vocal growth as, a young tenor, that actually gave me an understanding of what ultimately I could then bring back to my operatic high notes.
Oh, that's interesting. So they're definitely not mutually exclusive.
Absolutely not. I find that they do inform each other. The more I learn how to belt, the more my operatic high voice comes in, and the more I understand that, the better I can understand how to manipulate my voice for belt.
That's fascinating. Artists never stop learning and growing. Another thing, talking about vocal health and stamina, is that this is, I don't know if it's a play with music or a musical with a play in it, but there's a lot of dialogue. And that's another thing another factor to keep in mind that can wear on the voice if it's not done right. And one of the things I've loved is seeing you, Brennan, and Shannon as Maria playing with these different accents. Shannon's half Cuban, and so she was saying she's got the accents down so well that she can speak English with a Cuban accent or differentiate to a Puerto Rican accent. And it's just been wonderful and delightful to be a part of. How's Wichita treating you all three so far?
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah,
I'm good so far. I mean, I love fall, and I'm waiting for a fall to officially be here. I think it is now.
Feels like
finally.
Yeah, this morning felt like fall.
Definitely.
could be. Who knows?
Wow.
Something's coming.
You were holding that one in, weren't you?
Yeah, it's I was talking with one of the other cast members, and I think he said it perfectly. Phil, who is our Chino. We're all staying together, and he said, yeah, it's a cozy town.
It's comfortable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of nice people. Phil's interesting too. I don't remember where he's from originally, but he came through the Wichita State University program. In fact, we did an opera together. Must have been 2021, and so it's been great to have him back. And one of the things I love is creating a family. So it's nice. Shannon was here last year in September with an opera, and certainly love to have you guys back here as soon as we possibly can. One of the things about the production that's a little different, I think I mentioned before, the orchestra is actually on stage, and we had kicked around different possibilities. We had thought about building a passerelle, which is a big round structure with the orchestra in the middle and the audience all around, building towers. There's the famous balcony scene. But we decided to go with this for a couple of reasons. First of all, it was easier, I've got to admit, and maybe a little bit less expensive. But I personally think it's fascinating to see all these instruments on stage playing with the singers. Also helps the orchestra. One of the big challenges we have in opera, whatever this thing is, music theater, is balance. And while the singers will have mics and the orchestra will be partially mic'd, it's always challenging to get it just right so the instruments or the orchestra supporting the voice and not overwhelming it or overpowering it. And having the orchestra on stage definitely helps because you'll see the violins leaning over and listening, and often they're playing the same melody. So they just become more aware and it becomes more cohesive. And I just love seeing all these instruments, the saxophones in this case, and all the percussion playing along. So I think it'll be fun for the audience to get to see everything together as one. And yeah, let's see how much time we're over 20 minutes, but we're super excited. Hope to see as many people as possible. And thank you all so much for coming to Wichita, making the show really fun.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
having us.
We're happy to be here.